All right, so we are going to talk a little about Ruth today. So I'm going to share my screen again with my PowerPoint. There's Ruth. Hi, Ruth. All right, go away, design ideas. All right, so Ruth is a really odd book of the Bible. So most of the storybooks of the Bible, like the history of the Bible, is kind of tracing this tribe turned country of Israel through their kind of Genesis all the way to kind of when Jesus comes. That's usually what the Old Testament is about, this one people of Israel. So Ruth is about Israel, but it's not really about anybody, well, big in Israel. It's not about Moses or a king or a prophet or a judge. It's just these two people, and we're just going to focus in on these two people in the middle of the, kind of the story. It's like we have this epic tale of this ancient culture, and then in the middle of it, it's like, here's two random people. What are they up to? So that's a little bit about Ruth. So let's go from there. So Ruth. All right, so chapter 1 is where we're going to start here. There's only 4 chapters long. It's a pretty short book. And this is all from chapter 1, but we're going to skip around a little bit, as you can say. In the days when the judges ruled, so we're setting when Ruth is, that's right where Pastor Gary led us last week about judges. Ruth is set at the same time as judges. We don't fully know when, probably towards the back half. In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judea, together with his wife and 2 sons, went to live for a while in the country of Moab. And I skipped over this part, but basically this man and 2 sons left Israel. They went to go live in a new place. The sons got married to women there. They were a happy, happy family. And then the man and the 2 sons died. And it was just the wife and their 2 daughters-in-law. And they were Orpah and Ruth. Yeah, it's an interesting name, Orpah. I think legend has it that's where Oprah got her name, but it was spelt wrong on the birth certificate. But I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe I just made it up. So after that happens, Naomi, that's the wife, so said to her 2 daughters-in-law, go back each of you to your mother's home. May the Lord show you kindness, as you have shown kindness to your dead husbands and to me. May the Lord grant each of you that you will find rest in the home of another husband. So Naomi says, go back, girls. You don't want to come with me. I'm going back to Israel. There's no place for you there. Might as well just go home. All right, at this, the girls wept aloud, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. Look, said Naomi, your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her. But Ruth replied, don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Wherever you die, I will die. And there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me. And Ruth is a pretty powerful statement right there of why she's going to stick with her mother-in-law and go back to Israel with there, even though she doesn't know anybody there and has never been there before. All right, so Ruth is a pretty incredible character in the Bible. She's got a lot of substance of character. She is committed to Naomi and willing to go back to Naomi somewhere she'll be a stranger. And one of the things we see in this world is commitment is important. Whenever you commit to something, you want to say, I want to follow that through. That Ruth is definitely has a story of commitment to her mother-in-law and to this story that she's going to be a part of this. So, and Ruth's commitment to Naomi is a reflection, that we see of God's commitment to us. This idea of like, no matter what, nothing is going to separate us. I'm going where you're going. You cannot get away. So in the chat here, think for a second, what is something you've struggled with but stayed committed to? Like, have you ever tried practicing an instrument and struggled early on and stayed committed to learn, or a sports or a school subject? Right in the chat, write out those things. I can tell you when I was in 9th grade, I joined track at school and I hated it immediately. I don't like to run. I think it's terrible. It's boring now. I agree. And I wanted to quit within the first week. And my mom said I couldn't quit, but I had to do it for at least the year because I committed to doing it. And so I hated it and hated it and hated it, but I did it for the year. And I can't say I ever grew to love it, but I am proud that I did it for the length of time I committed to. That I was committed to doing that. And so I stayed stuck with it. And sometimes that happens, right? There are other times where, that I maybe tried something new, like a band instrument or something like that, and I really hated it and I quit right away because it was hard. So sometimes not everybody sticks with everything. Oh, Oprah got her from Harpo, which is spelled backwards. There you go. Thank you, Steve. I don't know if that's true or not, but sounds good. He gives me a thumbs up. It's true. All right, so that's Ruth. Right now we see she's a woman of substance and is committed. Let's keep going. All right, because now we get Ruth is at its core not just a story about Ruth's commitment to Naomi, but it's a love story. So who's your favorite fictional couple? You can write that in the chat right real quick. My favorite right there, Han and Leia. I love Han Solo and Princess Leia. In the original Star Wars movie, you know Harrison Ford is super cool. When, as a kid, I watched Star Wars and Luke Skywalker has a laser sword and can do magic and is like this chosen one, and all I want to be is Han Solo because he's that cool. Even though he doesn't have a laser sword and he can't do any magic, but Han Solo was just the coolest guy in the world when I was a kid and today. All right, so anybody else have a favorite fictional couple? Maybe when you watched the Hunger Games, it was with Peeta, or what's the other one's name? Which team are you on? Or Twilight? Are you Team Edward, Team Jacob? There you go. I see a couple coming in here. Probably at this age, if you're one of our male confirmations, maybe you haven't really thought too much about your favorite fictional couple. Maybe this isn't something that you start thinking about. But as you get older, you'll can appreciate some love stories a little bit more. Oh, Elizabeth and Darcy, Pride and Prejudice, good choice. And Wesley and Buttercup, I do love The Princess Bride. All right, so this is a love story because it's between Ruth and this other person that we're about to meet, Boaz. All right, so this is chapter 2. It's called the meet cute. That's what happens in like a romantic comedy when two characters meet and it's really cute. That's called the meet cute in the movies. All right, so Boaz is a relative of Naomi's. We don't know how close they are, but he's a relative. And so they go back home to Israel. Ruth goes out to gather food at the fields and things like that. And she ends up on Boaz's field and meets this guy, Boaz. And she's gathering food there, and Boaz notices her and thinks she's cute. And so Boaz said to Ruth, "My daughter." That's an interesting way to, talk to a girl that you might be interested in. But old cultures sometimes say weird things. "Listen to me. Don't go and glean in another field, and don't go away from here. Stay here with the women who work for me. Watch the field where the men are harvesting and follow along after the women. I have told the men not to lay a hand on you. And wherever you are thirsty, go and get a drink from the water jars the men have filled." At this, she bowed down with her face to the ground and asked him, "Why have I found such favor in your eyes that you would notice me, a foreigner?" Boaz replied, "I've told you all about what you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, how you have left your father and mother and your homeland and came to live with a people you did not know before. May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." So Boaz likes Ruth, thinks she's interesting. And so he's like, "Don't go anywhere else. Stay on my field. We're always going to have food for you here. You can always find food here on the field." If we were to keep reading the section, Boaz will go to his guys, his men that work the field, and he's going to say, like, just leave a little extra on the ground for Ruth, okay? She's going to come to collect food. Don't collect it all. We want to make sure Ruth is well taken care of. And he's like, "Hey, I've got water over here. Yeah, go get some water. He's got some bread. Go get some bread." He's really taking care of Ruth. He likes Ruth. And it kind of reminds us that part of Israel, what they're supposed to do is take care of widows and orphans. This is what God has kind of commanded them to do. Take care of those who are on the fringes of society, who are hurting, who may not be able to fully take care of themselves. People are commanded to take care of them. And so that extends, I think, to us today as Christians. And we should be looking out for those that are on the fringes, those that are hurting, and saying, God has told us, commanded us, those are the people we need to make sure we take care of. It doesn't say don't take care of, kids who've got it all going on. It says take care of kids that are bullied, takes care of kids that have special needs, take care of kids that eat alone at lunch. This is what God has commanded us to do. This is part of what it looks like for Israel, and I think part of what it looks like to be a Christian. All right, so we're going to keep going here. All right, chapter 3. All right, so at the end of chapter 2, Naomi is thrilled that Ruth and Boaz are hitting it off. And she's like, good news. Boaz is our kinsman redeemer, this really odd word. And that means Boaz is obligated to care for any family members that come under hard times. So kinsman would kind of be like family member, and redeemer, one who kind of takes care of or buys back or things like that. So Boaz is set up to take care of family members that have fallen under hard times. So Boaz is going to take care of us. So in chapter 3, Boaz and Ruth are talking again, and Ruth has kind of made it known to Boaz, hey, you think I'm nice? You like me? I like you too, and I'm into this. Let's see where this goes. It's kind of like they're flirting with each other. They're texting one another. Ruth is saying, okay, I like you. What do you think? Where do you want to go with here? And Boaz says this, the Lord bless you, my daughter. The kindness is greater than which I showed you earlier. You've not run after the younger men, whether rich or poor. And now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all that you ask. All the people of my town know that you are a woman of noble character. Although it is true that I'm a guardian redeemer or kinsman redeemer of our family, there is another more closely related than I. Stay here for the night, and in the morning, if he wants to do his duty as your kinsman redeemer, good. Let him redeem you. But if he is not willing, surely as the Lord lives, I will do it. Lie here and depart. So what Boaz is saying is, I'm the kinsman redeemer. You're a widow. My job is to marry you. That's what it'll look like, to bring you into our family, to take care of you, your family, and your needs. I'm going to marry you. But according to our customs of the time, somebody is actually a little closer, and they might be able to say they want to do it first. And I'm going to respect the rules because that's the way things work in an ancient culture. So what is a kinsman redeemer? It's that. It's a family member that's obligated to say, like, I will take care of the family when things go wrong. And what's neat about this is that this idea translates so easily into who Jesus is for us as our kinsman redeemer. That we, as sons and daughters of God, are in some ways related to Jesus, and Jesus is going to take care of us when we fall on hard times, even to the point of sacrificing himself to buy us back from sin. Jesus becomes this kinsman redeemer. So like Boaz is doing his job to rescue Ruth, Jesus does his job to rescue us. In part 4, and they lived happily ever after. They get married. The other guy who does not want to do it, it's this really weird story. He was like, I don't want to do this. Take my shoe. That'll prove I don't want to marry Ruth. Like you do, right? When you're like, I don't want to do something, take my shoe. That's how you guys operate. So Ruth and Boaz get married. Aww. There's a picture of me and my wife from our wedding night. You can see, look how cool I am. I have a Superman shirt underneath my tux. My wife did not know I had that underneath. So this is us on the dance floor, and I'm showing her kind of what she got into as by marrying me. And she already said yes, so she was locked in. So what are you gonna do? And Ruth and Boaz have a baby boy, and they're happy and together. And Naomi is now a grandmother. She is so excited about what has happened. She says Ruth is better than 7 sons. Big compliment, not bug compliment. Back in the day, to tell your daughter she's better than 7 sons. That's a big compliment. So Naomi's excited. And then the story ends with this genealogy letting us know that Ruth's son will be King David's grandpa. That King David is going to be the next big figure in the Bible. If Moses was on the Mount Rushmore of the Old Testament, King David is definitely on the Mount Rushmore of the Old Testament. He's a huge dude when it comes to the Old Testament. And through King David, through that line, will eventually give us Jesus. And in the Gospels, when they list off Jesus's genealogy, they're going to talk about Ruth. Ruth is included in that genealogy. But they're going to specifically say, and Ruth is Jesus's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother. So what's interesting about this story is we kind of have this question like, why is this even in the Bible? It's just like this kind of 2 people that aren't really that important to the history of Israel. Their son, we don't really know much about. So we're not even following like the line of David because we don't know really anything about their kid. And then their grandson is Jesse. That's David's dad. We really don't even know much about him. And we don't know about Boaz's dad. So we don't really, it's not like because he's in the line of David, we have to like follow him. But for me, it kind of reminds us that God is equally concerned about the most important people in our world. I think we think of like those who have the most influence, the most impact on what our world is shaped to be, whether they be politicians, whether they be famous people, whether they be engineers or inventors, whatever they may be, God is concerned about those people. Like, I do think God is concerned about who ends up winning the election here in the United States. God is concerned about President Trump and Vice President Joe Biden. He's concerned about them. But God is equally concerned about your story and my story. Even if our stories don't feel that important at the time, even if we feel like we're just living our lives and we're kind of doing our best to be the best Christians we can be in our life, God is so intimately active in our stories as he is in the stories for the most important people in this world. And that reminds us, Ruth reminds us that God is a part of those simple, small stories just as much as he is a part of the big stories of where Moses is freeing the slaves of Egypt. God is equally active in a simple love story between two people. All right, so that's the book of Ruth. Pastor David is going to open up the small groups, and we'll see you later. But first, some announcements. First announcement number one, in a month, on December 2nd, we're going to not have this kind of confirmation. We have Advent worship. So church is open that night, and we're going to worship for like 35 minutes or so, and then you have small group afterwards. And that is going to be our first time to experiment with doing live in-person confirmation. So you would come to church, we'll have you spread out to sit for church, and then you're going to go to your small groups after that. So you'll sit in a kind of a circle. You'll be kind of like, I guess you are at school, socially distanced apart. You'll have your conversation. Everyone will have to be wearing a mask because we want to make sure we're keeping everybody as safe as we can be on December 2nd. And that'll last for 3 weeks. And then in January, we kind of go back to this kind of confirmation. Now, is that going to look, are we going to be in person? Are we going to be on Zoom? Well, we don't really know yet. But on December 2nd, we're going to experiment and try this out. And I know I've let your parents know. Some of them are kind of saying, this is where we're at as a family. If you can't make it, or your family's like, I don't really feel comfortable doing that, we will set up laptops so you can kind of Zoom in or Skype in or be in your small group, so that we want to make sure you're there too, because everybody should be there. And we want to make sure that that happens, that you don't get left behind or left out, things like that. That's happening on December 2nd. The other thing is, in 2 weeks, Saturdays, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, the 14th, we have another movie in our drive-through parking lot. So bring a camping chair, and we're going to watch a movie in the parking lot. This is one of my favorite movies. I usually pick movies I like. And I can't tell you what it is, but I can tell you it's an awesome movie about action, adventure, fortune, glory, figuring out maybe some religious themes, but they're not too heavy-handed, and hopefully no snakes. We want no snakes involved in this movie or in life. And if you are like, I'm not really sure what that movie is, ask your parents. Maybe one of them might know. But it's maybe Chris, yeah, it rhymes with that. Schmindiana Schmones. Yes. Yes. It's a good movie if you've never seen it. I think you will like it. All right, Pastor David, open up small groups. Bye, everybody.